All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to talk about the 2025 Hall of Fame nominees. Who is most likely going to get in this year? So let's get into that. So now these are the newly eligible players. That's what we're going to get into. So we got Travis Frederick of the Dallas Cowboys, was a center for them for 6 years. Luke Kuechly of the Carolina Panthers, linebacker for them from 2012 to 2019. Marshawn Lynch, who was with a few teams, but we mainly know him from Seattle, of course. He was with the Bills, he was with the Seahawks, he was with the Raiders towards the end of his career. But then he came back to the Seahawks, if you remember, because the Seahawks running back room was just in disarray, so many injuries. And he came back, final game of the regular season in 2019, scored a touchdown against the 49ers, then scored a touchdown against the Eagles the following week, and then scored a touchdown against the Packers in the final game of his career in the divisional round. So he came back and he scored 3 touchdowns. So, he did make an impact. I did forget about it. And it was funny because I was like, hey, I'm going to bring out my Marshawn Lynch jersey. I thought this was done for, but I was able to wear that one more time with him coming back. But back when I was younger, I used to just get jerseys. I mean, you'd be surprised with some of the jerseys that I have. I probably have said them before, but there are some jerseys where you'd probably be like, why do you have that? Like, what is the point of having this jersey? So, Marshawn Lynch, Eli Manning, who could be discussed in this segment. We'll get into him in a little bit. Joe Staley of the 49ers was one of their tackles, their left tackle from 2007 to 2019. Terrell Suggs played for the Ravens for most of his career. I mean, he is a Raven, but played for the Cardinals for a little bit and the Chiefs as well. Aqib Talib played for a bunch of teams from 2008 to 2019. Cornerback. Adam Vinatieri, yeah, he should get into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think he's a lock for the Hall of Fame. Adam Vinatieri was a kicker from '96 to 2019. Was with the Patriots, of course, when they started their first dynasty, as well as with the Colts for the vast majority of his career. And then Marshall Yanda of the Baltimore Ravens, one of their guards from 2007 to 2019. So, yeah. Now, I think Kuechly should get in. I feel like Suggs should get in. I mean, with the Super Bowl championship, I feel like he should get in. Because looking at his career stats, he had 7 interceptions in his career. He had 2 touchdowns. I know I'm giving you. He had 37 forced fumbles. How many sacks did he have over the course of his career? So he had 12 sacks his first season, 10.5 his second season. He had 11 in 2010, 14 in 2011, 12 in 2014, 11 in 2017. So in total, he had 139 sacks. And, combined tackles, 895, solo tackles, 630. 265 on assists. Yeah, he does have Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2003. Pro Bowls. Comeback Player of the Year. Really? Comeback Player of the Year in 2013? Yeah. Oh, wait, actually, no. Comeback Player of the Year was Phillip Rivers. But, no, he finished 10th in that. He got 2 votes for that. But he was in the running for it. But, yeah, he's got a handful of Pro Bowls. And in 2011, yeah, he was Defensive Player of the Year. 14 sacks, 2 interceptions that year. Played in all 16 games. Yeah, so 7-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champ. So it was, back when the Ravens won it, I believe, against the Giants. So I feel like he should get in. I think Vinatieri's definitely a lock. I'd like to see Marshawn Lynch get in. Kuechly, I'd like to see him get in as well. But like I said, the main person that I do want to talk about, the main player that I want to talk about is Eli Manning. Because And anytime you talk about him in the Hall of Fame, it stirs up controversy because on one hand, he's got 2 Super Bowls, but on the other hand, you talk about, well, look at all the interceptions he had in his career, and the years that they didn't go to the Super Bowl. The Giants were never very good. When Eli Manning retired, he was top 10 in every passing category. Yards, touchdowns, all that. And I get it. Because outside of the 2 Super Bowl rings, the Giants were not very good at times. Well, for most of the time. Now, there was that one year in 2008 where they looked like they were going to win again. And then everything that happened, the situation with Plexico Burress happens. And they had the 1 seed, but they lost to the Eagles in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, he had 2016, they made the playoffs, but, they lost to the Packers. I know I brought that up recently. So yeah, and Eli Manning, his regular season record is exactly 500. I think it's 115 and 115. But, if you had the postseason numbers, he's got a winning record. So I like to include that. But I think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. I mean, I think he should get in this year. Because I know from some of the videos that I've watched recently, the class isn't that these nominees aren't that spectacular. Now, Vinatieri should get in. That's the one that I don't think anybody's complaining about. Adam Vinatieri should get in. But yeah, you need other people to get in, and I think Eli should get in this year. I think Eli should get in. But yeah, it's because of the 2 Super Bowls. If he didn't have those, yeah, then we're not having this conversation. But the Super Bowls really do hold weight. And yeah, you could say, well, he had a good defense. And yeah, the defense did play a role. But in some of those games, he was spectacular. Now, I probably, 2007, I don't really remember quite as much as I remember 2011. But, they went on the road against Dallas in the divisional round. Well, they beat Tampa first, in Tampa. Then they beat Dallas on the road, who was the number 1 seed, and Dallas swept them in the regular season. Then you beat Brett Favre in Lambeau in the championship game, and then you beat the undefeated Patriots. Now, was there some luck involved? Absolutely. But you know what? A lot of teams need a little bit of luck. Except, it's still, you wonder, how did Eli get out of that sack and, was able to heave the pass downfield for Tyree, and Tyree held on to the ball? How did that happen? I don't know. But that happened, and then Eli threw the touchdown to Plexico Burress, and, Tom Brady wasn't able to, get the Patriots in range to tie the game up. But, and it still haunts him. He would trade in any of his Super Bowl rings to win that one. Because, they would be looked at as the greatest team of all time. And they still are one of the greatest teams of all time, even with that loss, but still. And then Eli did it again to him. We talk about all the winning that the Patriots have done. Eli Manning is the only quarterback to beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl twice. Nick Foles did it, but Eli did it twice. Because he did it again in 2011. They beat the Falcons. The Falcons only put up 2 points. 2 points. They could have shut them out. Then you went up against the 15-1 Packers. They beat them. Eli played great in that game. And in the championship game against the 49ers, Eli got banged around constantly. He got beat up. There's that famous picture of him, image of him with the shoulder pads up. His helmet's crooked. He's got grass in his helmet. I got that saved to my camera roll somewhere. But he got beat up. But you know what? He kept throwing. He kept getting up. He kept throwing. And, again, that game was filled with some luck because you had the 49ers play. I think was it Kyle Williams? it was the 49ers player. I don't think I don't remember his name. It was, I don't know if it's Kyle Williams, because I'm thinking of Kyle Williams from the Bills, but needless to say, he had a brutal game on special teams, and that gave the Giants, you know, good field position that led to them winning the game. Because I think that's what happened in overtime. They got into field goal range, and then Lawrence Tynes kicked the game-winning field goal, and they went to the Super Bowl. They beat Brady again. And yeah, I mean, after that, the Giants only made the playoffs one time with Eli after the 2 Super Bowls. It was downhill after that because Tom Coughlin left. A lot of the guys from the Super Bowl years were all gone, getting older. O.C. Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, Victor Cruz got hurt, and his career got derailed because of it. Hakeem Nicks, Ahmad Bradshaw, all these guys left, and were retired. And it just, the team changed. Tom Coughlin left. They let him go because it was time to make a change. And then, you had to go through all these different head coaches. And, Dave Gettleman tried to, put together a team that, get them to the playoffs, and it just was not the case. Because, taking Saquon Barkley with the number 2 overall pick, although you like the pick, but you like the player, it's just the Giants were not in a position to, get to a Super Bowl with that team. The Giants failed Eli Manning. They did. And I think if the front office did the right thing and they gave him an offensive line and, they gave him better weapons, his career probably would have went longer and there would have been more success. But the Giants didn't do right by him. And I do stand by that. And you could say, look, I'm a Giant fan and I'm saying that, but I think it's true. But I do get it, because there were some times where Eli would throw an interception. You're like, what are you doing? I go back to the opener against Dallas in 2013. I was all hyped. I was, I'm like, let's go. This is the, beginning of the year. First play, Eli, play action, throws a screen pass that gets intercepted on the first play to DeMarcus Ware. And that has stuck with me for years. And I'm like, what was that? But having said that, Eli gave us some great years. And whether you like him or not, I think he's a Hall of Famer. The 2 Super Bowl rings, they carry him in this discussion, but not many quarterbacks have 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And the throw to Manningham in the second Super Bowl in Super Bowl 46 is one of the greatest throws of all time. Like, the Tyree throw was luck. That was just pure precision, accuracy by Eli. So, let me know what you guys think, though. Do you think Eli's a Hall of Famer? You think he's going to get in right away? I think he should. But yeah, let me know in the comments. So before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So when we come back from our second break of the show, we will talk more about the relationship between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, some other reports that came out. I'm talking to Wink Martindale. He also, Jalen Hurts had some comments on, an article that was released about the relationship. So I just wanted to get into all that when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.